working with the governor in a different capacity this year, and he's right, we didn't always agree, but we never left the room not saying we're going to come back and try and find a solution. We always came up with a solution, even if it required some phone calls or other visits. But I think we made a great deal of difference in this. I think a lot of that credit ought to go to my friend, the speaker. I tried to find him last night, and he and I have been friends for at least a decade and a half, if not a couple of decades, before we were elected and came in together, and we had all these thoughts about what we were going to do, how we were going to save this state and move it forward. And he eventually moved into leadership before I did. But one of the things we talked about when we were sitting in the minority in this room, the room across the way, was if we ever had the chance, one, to be in leadership, two, to be in the majority, that we wouldn't do things the same way. We try and find common ground. We try and figure out how we could work with the other side, how we could move our party to look at different things and move our thought process out of the general Democratic box. And Andrew Romanoff did that, and he did it every single day that he was Speaker. He did it every single day when he was Minority Leader. He tried to do that when he was in the minority. He used to carry around the greenbacks, those bills, before we turned them in, and he wouldn't let any Democrats sign. He wanted Republicans to sign first. So I want to say that I'm going to miss my friend working with him, particularly when we had the chance for 119 days to lead our respective chambers and to try and do so in a way that we would hope that the rest of Colorado would be proud of. So I certainly will miss him. I'm going to call him all the time and get some pointers about how to do that. I think the governor gave a great overview of what we did this session. What I tried to do was, where I could, take politics out of the mix. I think in the office that I hold, at least in the time that I have been in the Senate, that politics drove every single decision that we ever made in the body, whether I was in minority, whether I was in the majority. We tried to take that out for the last 119 days, work with our friends on the other side of the aisle where we could to come up with Colorado solutions. Not Democratic answers, not Republican solutions, but Colorado answers to move this nation or this state forward. And I think we did that more often than not. I created a new partnership with the business community. I met with them on a weekly basis, something that hadn't been done, at least on our side of the building, when we've been in control. And we now have, I think, a very good relationship with them, and will continue that process over the interim. My chief of staff is under the order when she comes back after celebrating her birthday today, to continue to set up regular meetings with that community so that we can continue to forge the type of alliance we need to strengthen the economy in the state, to move the new energy economy forward and work with the governor on that issue. Where we have common ground in education areas and healthcare and some other areas, we'll work with our friends on the other side of the aisle as well, and continue to work with them. And I told some of the guys last night, and Representative Spence, that expect a call from me periodically to work on the issues that we worked on together. When we opened 120 days ago, I said we were going to build a 21st century education system, and I think we really moved on the path of that direction, and the governor outlined some of the things that we did. And, I think that we passed probably the most effective and efficient School Finance Act in decades, when we finally came to a conclusion a couple of days ago. But this is something that invests in the future of kids in this state and really begins to put us on that line to create this 21st century education system so that our kids are prepared for the global challenges that face them. We talked about an accessible and affordable and reliable health care, and the governor talked about the building blocks that we put together. I think Senator Hagedorn Centennial Care really gives us a unique opportunity to work with the system as it's currently situated, depending on what happens in November, have them come in and say, here are some plans that we can give you that the state can use to begin to reduce the number of uninsured. We talked about strengthening our economy at the first day of the session, and I think we did that in helping our businesses. So many of the things that we passed, that Senator Bacon passed with bioscience, Senator Schaefer and net metering, Senator Schaefer as well, on streamlining of the tax process and really reducing, and the speaker and I talked about this several years ago, the business personal property tax. We were finally able to help 30,000 businesses deal with that issue. You talked about Coors Field. That's twice as many people, I think, will fit in Pepsi Center will now have the ability to really see a reduction in their business personal property tax. So I think we accomplished a lot in 119 days. We did so trying to find that middle ground. We did so investing in the future, mainstream Colorado values, and moving the state forward.